Welcome to the Cyber Podcast. I'm glad you're here. Today, we are diving into something most of us interact with daily, social media, and asking a big question. Is it truly connecting us, or is it slowly eroding our mental health? 2 years ago, I decided to try something. I deleted all of my social media accounts, Instagram, Snapchat, Reddit, even X, formerly Twitter. What started as a simple dopamine detox turned into one of the most eye-opening decisions I've made. That same summer, instead of scrolling through highlight reels of other people's vacations and careers, I studied, exercised, and spent more time in nature. And truly, I noticed a real shift. I felt less jealous, less anxious, and more grounded. I'm not alone either. Research is starting to back this up. In today's episode, we're looking at how social media can warp our emotions and how psychological concepts like social norms, conformity, affect, and person-situation interaction explain what's really happening to us when we scroll. To help us really unpack this, I'm joined by Dr. Maya Chun, a social psychologist who's been studying how digital platforms influence our behavior and emotional health. Dr. Chun, thank you for being here. I've been thinking a lot about how social media impacts the expectations we place on ourselves and others. Can you talk about how social norms play into this?
Absolutely. Social norms are the shared expectations we have for how people should think, feel, or behave. On social media, these norms evolve rapidly. For example, during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, there was a strong push to use platforms for activism. Those who remained silent were seen as going against the norm. These norms are powerful because they shape what we feel is acceptable, even if we wouldn't normally act that way offline.
That makes sense. What's interesting is that platforms can amplify those social norms and actually create a kind of emotional pressure cooker. That leads into conformity, right?
Yes, and social media is an ideal environment for both informational and normative influence. Sometimes people believe others online know more than they do, and they conform. Other times, they conform to avoid judgment or social rejection, something that's especially relevant in younger users.
That very clearly matches what I experienced. Even when I knew something online wasn't real or healthy, I still felt drawn to copy it, whether it was a fitness trend, a productivity routine, or just how people were supposed to look. That comparison expectation is subtle but really powerful.
And that's where affect comes in. Social media triggers emotional responses, jealousy, anxiety, and even outrage, all just from the content we consume daily. These feelings don't just stay online. They trickle into our lives and actually affect how we see ourselves and others.
A study I came across recently backed all of this up statistically. In a 2025 study published in PNAS Nexus, researchers blocked mobile internet access for participants for just 2 weeks. The participants could still text and call, but no scrolling, no feeds, no endless updates, and most importantly, no internet altogether. The results? Massive improvements in mental health, focus, and overall well-being. In fact, the effects were on par with taking antidepressants or even feeling 10 years younger in terms of attention span.
That's one of the most compelling studies we've seen lately. And it reinforces the idea that our environment, both digital and physical, plays a significant role in how we feel and behave. This ties into person-situation interaction.
That's very true. When I deleted social media, I didn't just feel better by default. Of course, I felt relief in terms of excess time, fewer social expectations, and a lack of comparisons. But my main growth was because I filled that time with meaningful activities like reading, walking, journaling in nature, and hanging out with friends in real life. It was an entire lifestyle shift, and detoxing from dopamine and social media helped initiate it. Let's hear from a listener.
Hey, this is Thomas from Chicago. So, I hear about social media causing mental health problems, but I mostly just scroll after work to relax. Does that really hurt anything?
That's a great question, Thomas. Thanks for sending that in. I used to think the same thing. But here's the deal. It's not always about how much you use social media, but how you're using it and why.
That's actually what a 2022 meta-analysis in JMIR Mental Health explored. It looked at over 9,000 people and found that problematic social media use, not just time spent, but addictive patterns like preoccupation and withdrawal, was moderately linked to increased depression and stress. This held true across age and gender.
So yeah, like Dr. Chun said, if you're using it to unwind, that should be fine. But if you find yourself scrolling without purpose, comparing yourself, or getting upset, then it is probably time to step back and reassess. And if you want a place to start, try a weekend digital detox. Just block the apps, go outside, and reconnect with the real world, even if it's just for 48 hours. You might be surprised at how much your mood and focus improve. It's not always about total abstinence and quitting everything forever. It's about becoming intentional again. Dr. Chun, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure. And you're right. Ultimately, the best solution isn't always a one-size-fits-all. Each person needs to actively check the levels of their social media usage and decide if it is excessive. And if it is, well, that's when you can try implementing a solution and see how it goes. Good luck.
Thank you. To the listeners, thanks for joining me today. Social media isn't all evil, but it is powerful, and we have to really understand how it affects our thoughts, emotions, and well-being. If this episode got you thinking, consider sharing it with someone you care about. And remember, you're not just scrolling. With each scroll, you're shaping how your brain works. All sources are linked in the description. Until next time, stay connected, stay tech-savvy, and most importantly, stay mindful. It's been a pleasure, KTS. This was the Cyber Podcast, a simple podcast that seeks to spark discourse on the many contemporary and futuristic ways technology has, is, and will affect our daily lives. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider subscribing to see future podcasts based on peer-reviewed sources.